Okay, are we online? Hi, Penny.
Hi there.
So, my name is Nima, and you can see me here. Yeah, and we are in the room with almost like 30 people. And we had an amazing time watching your project with a machine we live in. And I want to ask you a question about the process of making this film, and we are curious about that.
So Expo Film came out of I found two films, home movies on eBay, and one was 616 and one was Super 8, and I sort of wove them together. So I transferred them all and wove them together into this kind of memory piece about going to Expo, but not really. Sorry, Expo 67 in Montreal, and not really remembering it. So I was really struck by this anonymous footage that I had, how anchored it was in the landscape, how similar the two uh, camera people, I think they were cameramen, were, and they each had the same kinds of footage moving on the monorail through the landscape, things like that. So I was sort of fortunate in finding this footage.
And how did you feel when they found them? So when you found this footage, how like was that like recalling the memory? And like how was your approach to this footage?
Well, I think for Canadians, Expo 67 in Montreal is very iconic. So I was never really very far away from the landscape itself. Some of it still exists. You can go and go see some of the pavilions, like the big Buckminster Fuller structure. But it I can't say that it brought back a little bit of memory, but I think the it yeah, I can't it didn't trigger things because I'm not sure there was much to trigger. My sense was is that I was a young child and it was such a big place and we probably stood in line a lot actually. So maybe there wasn't anything to remember. I don't know.
Yeah, so and one of the phrase that carved into my brain while I was watching this film was future is half imagined, half real.
Hmm.
While the film was progressing, it just dissolved and disappeared. And also all the footage turned to be more kind of dissolved and disappeared.
Hmm.
So my question is that was that the imagined part of the future that took over the reality, or it was the reality? Because you said that now we can see some of the remnant of the expo.
Hmm.
So is it the real future? Because as a human being, we are constantly progressing and modifying and transforming.
Yeah, I think for what I did technically was I optically printed the Super 8 and the 16 millimeter, so I was able to get that sense of moving into the image. So it's not done with digital effects; it's all done in camera, and so it's a good question what you're asking, and I'm not sure I know the answer to that. It's what I'm endeavoring to do is to go into memory and to move around like the landscape of Expo, to move around in this place, and um, sort of hang out there for a while and see. But it's you know it it's ineffable. I can't explain that. Like no one knows what it is, right? It's who knows what memory. what it's immaterial. So I wanted to get that sense of immateriality, of something that can't be fixed, basically.
Yeah, and so, and also it also remind me a very short fragment, sci-fi fragment by Margaret Atwood, the time capsule found on the dead planet, and it has like 5 stages, and on the fourth stage, she talks about the desert, and I'm so much interested in desert.
Mm.
And in the fourth, she says that some of our wise men turn to the contemplation of deserts. A stone in the sand in the setting sun could be very beautiful, they said. And as you said that this remnant of the expo as like the prototype of the future, seems that we are like constantly trying to create a shining stone because we don't trust to, to the stone that already exists for the future as a failed species. And watching this film, and while it was progressing and turns to a shining piece because the exposure was rising and dissolving, for me was like recreation of this moment in your film, which I really like that. And maybe it's just my read, and like other people here in this room have a different like read from your piece, which is amazing. And I want to know that how you see this like human progress of creation of this sort of landscape, and when we approach the raw moment, raw places, and turn them to something that.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think about um, that landscape for it was a great sort of nationalist moment for Canada. For it looked forward. It was very sort of a science fiction kind of space, futuristic, and it's thinking about that, and however long ago it was now, 1967. So I don't know. Don't do the math. Um, I think for me, it was because it was about memory. I wasn't looking, I'm forever looking back in the film and trying to piece together the landscape and the place and what's inside my head, or what I think, what I want, what I'm endeavoring to put inside my head, um, to create this sort of psychic space. So the future, interestingly, doesn't really fit into it for me, and I can't really explain that, except that for me it's a memory piece. But when I did go, I shot. I did go on to Ile Sainte Hélène, which is the island where Expo 67 took place, and I filmed all sorts of stuff, but I didn't use any of it. Maybe because it wasn't film, I was really captivated by the film I had, and I shot on HD, and I just didn't want to use it. But it wasn't. Maybe that's another project. All this work that I did on filming the remnants that do exist, but the present didn't interest me.
All right, so thank you so much, Penny. So I'm gonna open the mic to the audience here, and if they have any question. Any question? Yeah. Any question? All right, so we're gonna close our mimesis tonight, and thank you so much, Penny. It was amazing to have you here. It was amazing. Yeah, there's a question. I'm sorry.
Hi, Penny. I really enjoyed your film. The question I have is pretty unformed, but how do you think that place, people, and then specifically the medium of 16 or 8 millimeter can I guess capture memories? Yeah. How do you think that memory is contained in place and in different mediums?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, I mean, a lot of my, I do a lot of experimental work around memory and trying to sort of engage with like a psychic landscape of memory and time and place. I think one of the things I learned from Expo Film is the work I did with optical printing, which was I had done a little bit of that before, but not very much. And this really struck me because I was able to literally like go inside, not literally, but go inside the film and get close and peer into it through the optical printer. That sounds sort of funny, but it's, you know, it's close-up photography, and it's so, and because of the grainy nature of the Super 8, you have that sense that you're moving in closer and closer to the emulsion of the film. And so that to me really visually spoke to memory, and you know, and slowing it down and creating this sort of this kind of just disrupting time and linearity is also what happens when you do that. So that's how I in this film engaged with memory. Maybe got a bit closer to it. I don't know.
Any other question?
Hi, Penny. Beautiful film. Question about the sound design, because it seems like there was this like tension between an increasingly creative sound design to sort of animate the characters sonically, while competing with the deterioration overall of the film. How did that come about?
The sound designer is Edmund Egan, and I've worked with him on several projects now. So he was really influenced by Alvin Lucier. I can't remember the piece. It's in a room, and he wanted to do this repetitive sound, and I gave him my voiceover, and so I just, you know, just before the lockdown came in 2020, I recorded my voice and managed to send him the files before everything shut down, and so we could continue working on the film. And he took it and broke it down. He saw the same things in the image. He wanted to do the same things in terms of breaking it down and through repetition and disintegration of the sound, it worked totally. It didn't match. It was it worked in concert with the image that was also deteriorating, but in a different way. So.
All right. No more question. And thank you so much, Penny. And thank you all. And
Thanks, everybody.
and have a great night.
Okay. All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.